Hey there, this is Seth Tafer from Team Just Cause Robotics, and this is Division version 4.5 after its most recent competition, the Mass Destruction event in the Boston area of Massachusetts. Well, this is its good side, actually. The rest of it's not looking quite so good after that recent competition, and you'll see why coming up very shortly. Division was facing a lot of stiff competition at this event because all of the Boston area events track the same builders as NHRL, but because NHRL has a lottery system, it's guaranteed that some new builders will get to show up to each event, whereas every other event tends to be first come first serve, which means the people who've been around for a while tend to lock up all of the slots immediately. So it was a ton of top ranked NHRL competitors, including Division, which is at least in the top 120 or so. And they are never going to be pushovers. So this was definitely going to be difficult. Now, Division was not the only robot that I was there to observe. And while I was driving Division, I was also checking out my friends' bots, with Jackalope and Sibling Rivalries being two of the ones that I was most keeping an eye on. Now, Jackalope is not a bot that I am personally affiliated with, but Gwen, who builds it and drives it, uses a lot of parts from my store, justcauserobotics.com, including the 5022 hub motor for its weapon system, for the spinner, and it also has a lifting arm on a servo and uses the Blitz Pro motors for drive. I also was keeping an eye on Sibling Rivalries, driven by my good friends Julian and Dima Papazian, a brother and sister team, who were bringing a multibot, two 2-pound robots, one of which is sporting the very first version beta SCARAB drum spinner hub motor that I developed, and this is the first time it was ever tested in combat. This event recaps a little out of date. This event was actually in August of this year. I've done a lot of development on the SCARABs to make them better than they were at this event, and I'm about to order the production batch, so hopefully in like late January I will have those for sale. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So Sibling Rivalries, Julian Dima Papazian, both 2-pound bots, both using blitz lights for drive, one using the SCARAB hub motor for a drum spinner weapon. The other half was kind of a lifter control bot, or it could swap out for a soldering iron to stab through and melt the insides of robots as well. So pretty cool pair. I'll show a highlight reel of how they did towards the end of the event, but spoiler alert, Sibling Rivalries won the entire thing. So pretty impressive first outing for the SCARAB drum, and it's only going to be way better from here on out. But Division, on the other hand, had a pretty uphill battle to get through, so let's get into some of those fights. The very first fight of the day that I had was against Skeleton Crew's Grim Ripper. This is a vicious undercutter bot, and I felt this was going to be a pretty even 50-50 matchup. If I could manage to get underneath with my wedge and uppercut that horizontal, there was a chance I could break it, but that was no small task, as, well, you could probably see from how the wedge looks. Let's see how that fight went. 2, 1. Well, that was a pretty close back and forth fight. Neither of us could really get even a single solid hit on the other, and both bots were fully functional at the end, so it came down to control and aggression, and ultimately the win was awarded to Grim Ripper. I think this is probably because Grim Ripper was seen as more aggressive, because I had to drive really slowly with Division, since if I drive quickly, it will tilt backwards, wheeling itself, and I will have the wedge no longer contacting the floor, and I needed the wedge sticking on the floor, because when it's not, this is what happens. So yeah, definitely not ideal, and thankfully I had about enough TPU there to prevent any serious damage to the expensive carbon fiber base plates that I only have 3 of, but still a decent amount of damage taken by Division in that fight. Skeleton Crew's victory was going to be short-lived because now I had to fight their other robot, Tricker Beater V2. Yes, the very same bot that SSP beat in its very first fight at the June NHRL event in my last recap video, which you could check out at the card above here, I think. Yeah, let's see how this one went with Division. Well, in basically the first exchange of the entire fight, I managed to disable Tricker Beater's weapon. From then on, they were basically just a punching bag. So, not a super great back and forth fight like that last one, but still fun for Division to be able to show what it's made of. My next fight was going to be up against a brand new bot with a brand new team with a bot called Saturo. Now, this robot was a little weird looking. It used the hub motor to power a giant overhead saw, but that motor is very heavy and the blade attached to it is too, so it was extremely top heavy and not super well balanced. All that said, this was definitely not a fight that I was saying, oh yeah, I'll get away scot-free with this one, because they still had a gigantic spinner that could attack the top of my robot, which has zero protection to offer. So, yeah. 3, 2, 1. gotta admit, I was legit pretty scared when I got pinned with my fork under the wall and they had a free hit on me, but both to my and the driver of Saturo's surprise, it did absolutely nothing. Like, I literally couldn't even find a scratch on the robot afterwards, and I genuinely don't understand how that happened. But I was definitely not going to give them a second chance to hit me, and I may have gone a little overboard tearing the robot apart before they tapped out. But it's combat robots. What are you going to do? Next time that you're trying to build a new robot or your bot gets ripped apart, you know where to go to get some parts made for it. That's right, today's video sponsor, PCBWAY. If you need parts CNC machined out of carbon fiber or metal, or you need something 3D printed in a fancy material that your home printer can't quite handle, PCBWAY is definitely the place to go. And, of course, as the name implies, they can even do custom PCBs for your next awesome electronics project. Check them out at the link down below for $5 off your next order. My next fight was going to be against a much tougher opponent in Oroborous. This spot is kind of a little bit like Grim Reaper if Grim Reaper had no curves. It's another four-wheel drive, well, actually four-wheel drive undercutter, so not even a two-wheel drive undercutter. But the point is, it's an undercutter with a blade really low to the ground, which I had already struggled against in my first fight. I replaced the wedges with my only spare set for this one, but yeah, as you probably saw already, that did not help very much. So this was again going to be a difficult driving battle where I try and keep my front low and drive slow and try and land at least one solid hit on my opponent. Let's see how this fight went. Well, the bad news is Division lost. The good news is I know why Oroborous' weapon stopped. It is no longer even close to being flat. In fact, I bent it pretty hard, even though I landed only 2 hits on it, like here and here. And yeah, it basically potato chipped the whole thing. So even though this blade's only an 1/8 inch thinner than the blade on Division, Division hits really freaking hard. And it was hard enough to bend this so much that it could no longer spin. So at least I got this awesome trophy. Thank you to Matt for this. And that'll definitely be going on the trophy case behind me. However, when it goes to the judges, you never really know what's going to happen. And in this case, Division once again lost the JD because I didn't do a convincing enough job with control, aggression, and even with damage going in my favor. It seems that for whatever reason they felt that I wasn't being aggressive enough, I guess. Either way, even the driver of Oroborous said he was a little surprised that he won, but I let it slide because I'm not going to argue with the judges during an event like this when they're making split-second decisions so that they can move the event along. This did, however, free me up with my brand new camera and a nice zoom lens on it to film all of Sibling Rivalries' new fights. Now, if you couldn't tell, I was actually using this new camera for this event, and this is the very first event that I ever went to with it, so if you notice the colors are a little bit weird or there's some banding and stuff, that's because I was still figuring out the correct settings to use on it. But hand holding it, even though it has in-camera or in-body stabilization, it's not perfect. I apologize, the footage is a little shaky, but I did get some pretty nice shots for this sweet highlight reel, and then I'll show you the entire final fight of the event.
square, you have Jackalope. Jackalope, are you ready? Jackalope's got the wiggle. Over here in the red square, you have Sibling Rivalries. Sibling Rivalries, are you ready? They're ready. Audience, are you ready to finish this last mass destruction fight? I also want to go home, so please help me count. Spinner spins up just in time to run into Jackalope. Seems like it's driving a little bit iffy, but he comes back. Goes in for a side hit while the lifter is getting jammed up on the forks. Jackalope's upside down, but then right side up almost immediately as they play around on top of the vent. Dangerous, weird place to be fighting with weird traction on top of it. Jackalope almost goes into the pit, but manages to pull back right at the last second. Goes face to face with the vertical spinner. Vertical spinner a little more hesitant after that. A little bit of friendly fire going on. And he ends up in the pit. Sibling Rivalry is now teaming up really well to get Jackalope jammed up in the corner. Good hit from the vertical. Big toss while the wedge gets stuck on the pit edge. We're going to get him out of it real quickly, but in the meantime, these two robots are going one-on-one instead of two-on-one. Nearly 2 minutes left in this fight, and all three of these robots still seem to have a whole lot of fight left to them. Vertical gets a great hit in on Jackalope, and then the wedge comes in to seal the deal and get Jackalope pinned up against the wall. That disc of Jackalope is trying to grind away at the long wedge forks on Sibling Rivalry. It looks like the vertical spinner on Sibling Rivalry is starting some issues, but that doesn't stop him from coming in and do a good rally against Jackalope. Jackalope's really suffering the attention of both of these robots at the same time right now as they edge closer and closer to the pit. Vertical spinner comes in right as Jackalope comes out to go completely destroy that disc. It's still spinning though. All three of these robots starting to hesitate. It looks like Jackalope might be down a drive side, but they've just been jammed up with the Sibling Rivalry for so long in that corner. Let's see if these robots can break free or if they want to stay in this knife fight for the final 45 seconds. And they manage to get out into the middle, but Jackalope is not driving great right now. Stuck on the forks of Sibling Rivalry. They manage to break away just for a second. Doesn't get very far with it. Vertical spinner is trying to line up for a nice hit. They only get a short, tricky one. Really don't have the distance. Both these robots go-si-going. Well, the vertical waits to cut in and gets a little bit of friendly fire there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's the fight. Let's give a round of applause not only to these three robots, but everybody who showed up today. Your judges have had a very, very brief conference, and we would like you to give a grand round of applause for your winner of 2025 Mass Destruction, Sibling Rivalries!
Alrighty, that's all I've got for you guys today. I need to get ready because I'm going to be going to the NHRL Finals to support Julian and his sister Dima with their new multi-bot, Mako and Friendo, in the World Championships of the National Havoc Robot League. So that is tomorrow. I really need to get going. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click like if you like this video, subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to see more like this. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon down below. And of course, if you want to buy any of the robot parts that were featured in many of the winning robots in this video, check out the store link in the description as well. See ya!